The last couple of weeks, it's not only been in deep on the Delta, it has been in deep, up close and personal, in tight to the cover, into the tulies. There's been good, bad, and ugly. We're going to go over it all. Things are changing out here. Let's take a look at a few pictures, then we'll get right into the report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the June 12th report. We're going to start off with a big shout out to my little buddy Ryder. Some of you may have seen Ryder about a month ago. He had just caught his first nice fish. It was a PB. I think it was somewhere around 3 pounds or something. Well, Ryder's got a new PB. He went out and got a 6.8 last week. And the story behind that was it was the first day of summer. Ryder gets up at 5 in the morning and he catches his new PB. For us that have been out here for a while, us guys and gals that have been out here for a while, and remember that first day of summer, you're out of school, you get up and you go fishing. And I never went out on that first day and caught a PB, but I can imagine what that's like. So congratulations, Ryder, and a word of warning. As you get close to that 7-pound mark, you're not going to be catching a PB monthly. They're going to get harder and harder to catch. So anyhow, Ryder, congratulations. I hope you get a new PB soon, and I want to see that picture, but it's going to get a little tougher for you. Let's get into a little report that I got from Nino out at Clearlake Outdoors. And you know, when I called, I was sure hoping that I didn't get some report that they're pulling in these 30 and 35 pound bags like they have been in the last, I don't know, say February, March, April. Anyhow, I talked to Nino. The fishing is good, but they're not picking up those huge bags that they were a couple of months ago. They're still getting a lot of fish. I think if you're a tournament angler and you were looking for that 35 or 40 pound bag, now is not the time to go up there. But if you are just a fun fisherman, maybe somebody that was having some problems up there 2 or 3 months ago when everyone else seemed to be catching fish, when everybody who had forward-facing sonar was catching fish, Nino's saying you don't need that forward-facing sonar right now. You can go, you can hug the bank. The fish are going to be smaller, but the numbers are good. Worms, crankbaits, standard stuff. Run the bank. You're going to get a lot of those 1 to 3 pound fish. If you want to catch bigger fish, there are some 6 and 7 pounders coming in. Nino's been throwing some of his big glide baits and stuff, and the local guys are still getting big fish. But if you just want to go up there and have some fun, it's going to be a lot of fun. Good numbers. You will need a mussel. Well, I don't know if it's a mussel sticker, but it's a sticker to get on the lake to show that your boat is clean and dry. If you don't have that sticker, you can be fine. So make sure you stop into Clearlake Outdoors or one of the places that you can have them inspect your boat and put a sticker on. Just be clean, be dry, you'll get the sticker. The sticker will cost you $20, and that's only good for 1 month. So just be aware of that. Cover water, and you'll have a good time. That's a report at Clearlake, and as things happen down there, I'll continue to get reports, once every couple weeks or so until we get into that wintertime doldrum here on the Delta, when we're really looking for other places to fish. So let's get right into the Delta, and we're seeing, I've got reports. Oh, and by the way, thank you guys so much for sending in your reports. They mean a world to me, and for you guys that haven't sent in reports, remember you can send in pictures or reports to scooper9561032. I tell you, I read them all, and it helps me immensely when I'm doing my weekly report. The Delta hasn't changed a whole lot in the last week as far as water temperatures. We're still looking around mid-70s. Very few sea lions out here. The wind has been a problem for everyone, and it's been blowing in that 20 to 25 a lot of times, so that has been a problem. But all in all, this week the fishing has slowed down. Let me start off with stripers, and then we're going to get into this bass thing. We're going to talk about this punching, frogging thing a little bit and let you know what's going on. Not many reports on stripers. I can tell you that in the McCollum, in White Slough, in right around the Channel and Disappointment Slough, there are a ton of these, diaper stripers. They're about 10 inches long. They're chasing bait all over the place. I think they're probably, a lot of them are feeding on the bass spawn out here, the fry. I've talked to Coach Ted. He's saying down at the head of the channel there's a lot of these small stripers. Haven't been talking to a lot of guys that are catching a lot of coincidental stripers when they're fishing for largemouth bass, and I'm not seeing a lot of guys that are out actually targeting stripers. I did get another report from Joe from Core Fishing, and I think Joe has got a new video up. You want to check that out because he's going to be spilling the beans on techniques and baits that he uses. So check out Joe at Core Fishing. Joe's been catching fish. He's been on a good bite the last couple weeks. He is fishing the North Delta, and when he says North Delta, I'm probably thinking Sherman Island. If you're looking for stripers, I start at Sherman, go out to the Sacramento River, work your way from Pittsburgh to Rio Vista up to Liberty. There's still fish out there. He's getting a good class of fish up to about 10 pounds, and he is once again looking at 1 to 4 foot of water. He said the AM and the PM bite have not been great. He's been fishing through the day, and his bites are centered around the first part of a moving tide. With that, he's throwing topwaters, he's throwing glide baits. The schools of fish are harder to find, so he's having to move a lot more, but when you find them, they are good, tight schools that are bunched up, and he's actually having 20 or 30 fish days. Bigger fish up to 10 pounds, most of the fish are schoolies. So with that, you can take that to the bank. If you're going to be fishing stripers, I would definitely be in the west or the north Delta, Sacramento River, and I think you're going to find a lot better fishing than what you're going to find here in the Central Delta. I don't think there's a lot of these fish left in the system. With that, let's get into the largemouth bass. And one of the things I will say, as I've been tootling around out here, we're seeing these small stripers that are, basically you're fishing towards the bank, you hear them boiling in back of you. If you got a topwater on, I always throw something out there just to see what's out there. A lot of small stripers in that 10-inch class. There's also a lot of small largemouth that are kind of schooled in with them, and that's what one of the things that's changing right now, I think, is that because we've had the last couple spawning periods, the last couple of full moons, we've had some pretty good spawning. There are a lot of fry in the river. I did talk to Coach Ted. Ted is down around, he lives on the river, basically Calaveras. Lots of fry in there, all over top to bottom. He says it's been a great spawn, at least in that area. But right now, the small stripers are really turning on those fry, along with the largemouth bass. What I have seen is the bigger males, which I have been catching in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and those are males that are probably in that 3 to 4 pound class. And yes, they are males. They're not females. They're not the 6, 7, 8 pound females. These are just large females. I was getting a lot of those in the last couple weeks. I've seen those fish kind of move out. I've seen the smaller fish really start to not just fry guard, but start to turn on the fry and start to eat them. So you're going to see that coming up, and that's going to require some changes of attitude and changes of latitude here in the next little bit. So with that, let's get into a couple of the tournaments that have gone on, and I didn't get a full report from the Wednesday nighter last week. I did talk to Christian, who won the tournament. I think it was, Christian and Hunter were out. They had a huge bag, 26 pounds. And let's just throw that out the window, because the tournaments that we're going to talk about, let's face it, nobody wants to hear what the top guys did. The top 3 guys had 20, 25, whatever it was. It's more important to see what the middle of the pack's doing and what the average guy can go out there and hope to do. You can't reproduce what Christian's going to do, or Hunter, or Lorenzo or any of these guys. It's just, you're not going to do it. So big congratulations to Christian and Hunter. But the bottom line is, I think what we're going to see is, and what I've heard from most of my reports from the weekend anglers, it's slowed up in the last week. We'll see how they did last night. I'm suspecting that their weights, at least the mid-level weights, are going to go down. Somebody can always bust that 25-pound bag, but mid-level weights are going to go down. I did get a report from Chris from the Delta Bass Club. They were out on their I don't know if they have a weekly. They must have a weekly derby. Anyhow, they had Geronimo. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Geronimo Conjara. We'll just call it Conjara. He won it with 15.8. They had 3 bags that were right there at 15 pounds for the top 3. A 6.8 big fish, and the story there was worms and chatterbaits. But when you look at that right around 15-pound class, and these guys are local guys, they know what they're doing, and that's winning that tournament. 15-pound, you're probably looking for the average guy getting out at maybe a 12 to 15-pound bag. So just kind of keep that into consideration when you're out there fishing. Now, as far as all the reports that I've had coming in, it's been a little bit all over the board and kind of on a trend that has not been an upward trend. It's been kind of a flat trend. There are still a few big fish coming in, but I believe a lot of these big fish, the big females, we're talking about fish over 6 pounds, they are recovering and they are in post-spawn. A lot of the fish that I have been seeing look very thin. They haven't totally recovered and started eating. With that being said, as these bigger females start to recover more, we're going to see more and more of them in the mix, and they're going to start putting on weight. We're going to start getting some bigger fish. You'll also notice that if you're fishing topwaters, a lot of these big fish, the ones that just come up and boil and miss the bait, those are those big females, and they're just getting into that active feeding mode, and they just don't have the push and the drive to really chase stuff. They want to come up and eat, but you're going to see a lot of fish missing baits. A lot of the bigger fish will miss baits. They won't ingest a frog. You're going to lose a lot of fish on frogs, and it's going to be frustrating, but I guarantee you there will be a light bulb day. It seems like it's all one day. We'll come out here, and it's going to be probably in the next week to 2 weeks where you'll start getting these bigger bites, and every one of them will come up and they will eat that bait, and they're not just coming up to slap at it, they'll be coming up to eat it, and we'll start catching these big fish. Believe me, within a couple of weeks they're going to wake up and we're going to get the big girls. Right now the AM and the PM bite have been pretty darn good. It's even an average day has been decent. You're going to get 6, 8, 10 fish in a morning session or an evening session. When you have those days when everything is right, when the tides are right, and you hit that in an AM or PM, you're probably going to have a pretty good day with a chance of getting a couple of those 4, 5, 6 pound fish in the mix. After that, after you hit that change of light bite, morning or evening, it's been pretty tough. For me, it's been all centered around the high outgo tide still. I am doing a video on low tide, and I've had trouble finding good low tide spots in the last couple weeks, but if you haven't checked out that video, Fishing Low Tide, you might want to check that out. All in all, chatterbaits and worms are the things to look at right now. A lot of topwater baits. Christian has been out and he's been saying he's been getting a lot of good fish on topwaters. And I know he throws a whopper plopper. He'll throw a buzz bait and obviously a frog. Getting back to frogs and punching, there is not a whole lot of hyacinth out here, and that's what most people punch. I don't know if it's the weather, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of surface vegetation on top, but it's kind of that leftover snot, witch's hair, which is not really great to fish. There is a lot of primrose, there's a lot of duckweed, which is very good for frogging. you can punch that stuff, but it's more frogging water than punching water. So with that, unless we get some kind of a bloom where and I can see there is more and more hyacinth. I'm looking around the little channel I'm in now, hyacinth growing. And if we get a pretty decent bloom of hyacinth, maybe later in the summer we're going to get a little better punch bite. There's going to be more water to punch, and the fish will use that cover to hold in, and basically the punch bite will get better. If not, we might have to change in our punch rods for frog rods, because there's just a lot better frogging water right now out here than there is punching water. So obviously bring a punch rod, bring a frog rod out here, but right now it looks like frogging is the thing to do. And there are people catching fish on frogs, but a lot of people are crying about, oh man, a big one came up and missed it, or I had him hooked for a minute, he threw the frog. They're just not engulfing it. Other than that, like we said, chatterbaits, worms. I've been catching fish on toads. The bite has slowed down. You will find still males are congregated, so when you get one fish, even though it may not be a big fish, you're probably going to catch 2 or 3 fish. Those big fish right now are just coming, one here and one there. So with that, I hope that helps you for your week's fishing. Get out here and have some fun. I think the wind's going to die down. It hasn't been too hot, so it's a good time to be out here. And another thing you'll want to make sure you take a minute to watch are the big swans that are out here. They all have the little babies, and they're swimming around, and they're just beautiful out here. So with that, good luck. Get out there, catch some fish. Let me know what you're doing. Send me a report. Don't forget to keep watching In Deep on the Delta. Good luck.